Hey YouTube, it's SoulPrime13 here. We're coming at you with another Transformers video review. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Studio Series Concept Age of Extinction KSI Widow, aka Widowmaker. So first we'll take a look at the box. Here we have a picture of her vehicle mode and then that wraparound art of her. She does seem to be making a little bit of a kissy face there. I don't know. I mean, that's pretty on brand for a widow. Kiss of death there. So yeah, she is an Autobot because we don't have Decepticon symbols. There is more of that artwork there. Concept art KSI Widow. There we got our legal jargon, and then here we have our product shots. No screen cap since she wasn't in the movie, just the movie logo. There's half a Decepticon symbol. They do exist. Then we got our little one-line bio, and it's an official McLaren vehicle mode. So that's it for the books. And we also have our lovely instruction booklet. So there is that. And here we have the figure itself. Now in the artwork, I do believe she was a bit more red. It's been a little while since I looked at it, but they went with an orange, I think, to help differentiate her from Stinger, who is the one that actually did make it into the movie. But excuse me, overall it does look nice. I don't mind the color by any means. It is a nice vibrant orange, and I do like how she came together. I've been hearing people complaining about how a lot of the newer movie Studio Series figures aren't as accurate. And I will say that is true. They aren't quite as screen accurate, but also I feel like they're better toys now. They actually like play better in my opinion, because like the thing about those super accurate molds are they have so many finicky little parts to them, and they just don't feel fun to me. If you like them, cool. I usually like complex transformation, but for me it's not the complexity, it's the weird way that everything has to fit together super precisely, and I just don't like it. But I've been feeling like we've been getting a little bit less of that recently, and for my opinion I think that's for the better. But overall, to each their own. But we'll get a little look close up here. We do got some nice gunmetal paint there on her shins, a little metallic orange there on her hips, and a little bit there on her belly, a little dash of silver. Come up here to the head, and she does have those mechanical sort of dreadlock hair pieces, which I do like. Her head is actually on a bit of an odd ball joint because it's attached like sort of from behind. It's a little weird, just because like the thing that the ball joint is on is from behind, but it still does get decent amount of ball joint motion. We'll go ahead and get into the articulation here, but yeah, the head is on a ball joint. There is some restriction due to those huge shoulder pads. I should get her in the frame. How about that? Arms are ball joints as well. They can go up, down, and rotate around. There is that shoulder piece for the transformation. She does have a bicep swivel, although a lot of times the entire shoulder piece will move with it. We do have about 90 degrees at the elbow. Yeah, come on, just because the camera's on. No waist movement, unfortunately. We can move these back a little bit. Do got, again, ball jointed hips. Do have a thigh swivel. Do have about 90 degrees at the knee. Can't go out very far to these hip pieces, although I suppose you can just... actually, never mind. The way that the connection is shaped prevents it from moving. It's actually... just realized that the orange piece isn't actually touching her waist. You kind of get a little up and down here at the foot, but that's really transformation and it's supposed to click in, so But yeah, that's about it for articulation. A little bit limited there. I do think they could have done a little bit more with the articulation. I do feel like there was probably enough room to fit an ankle tilt in here somewhere, but whatever. But yeah, oh, she does have these moving knee pads. Forgot about that. So yeah. But that's about it as far as the articulation goes. We'll do a couple quick little comparisons here. So there have been quite a few comparisons to, where'd he go? There he is. The old Viacon mode and the way she transforms. So I figured I might as well bring that in. Here's the APC Starscream Armada flying Viacon one. And you know, to be fair, they are both kind of like, you know, drones for the Autobots to mow down, so I guess they have that in common too. But here's how they stack up. And let's get her in with another deluxe. Here is the Last Night Barricade. So there's that. And I totally forgot. I should have brought a Bumblebee over here. Oh well. But yeah, there's a couple comparisons for you. She does come with a couple accessories. She does get these two arm cannons here. So yeah. And they're decently sculpted. They do got a little barrel there. As I mentioned with, I believe, my Elita 1 video, it does seem like less and less figures are getting blast compatibility. These are not blast compatible. As far as equipping them, there's two little like slots right here on her arm under these spikes, and there are two little clip pieces under here, so you just want to clip this on like so, and her hand will go into that little groove there that's on that. And you can put them on each arm if you want. Come on. There we go. So she can dual wield her arm cannons, which does look pretty cool. And yeah, you can pretty much just leave those there as much as you want. Then she does actually have robot mode weapon storage, which is neat, because you can tab them in with these pegs on the sides under her door wings. If I stop throwing things. Oh wait, no, not the tabs on the side, big tab on the top. Like so. And now it kind of looks like she has like jetpack thrusters too, so you can have her zhoosh around. All the more reason it's disappointing that we don't get blast effects. I want my swoosh action. But yeah, so you can store those there as well, which I think is pretty neato. But we are going to have to take those off because we're pretty much done with her robot mode. And now we need to go into transformation. So, to start, we're going to bring these door wings all the way up so that they form the side of the vehicle. And we're just going to push on her head and declip this whole spinal column she's got going on. And then we are going to come back here to the legs. And you're going to pull these up, pull this up, and this is where that Viacon inspiration comes in, because just the entire top of the car just folds out from within her legs, like so. And then you can just bring these together down the middle, like so, tab these. Make sure that these two bumper pieces are kind of lined up. Get those together. Then we are going to flip in her feet into these sort of little crevices here, like so. And then we are going to rotate these pieces back and around until they go into place here. And then rotate that back and around until it comes together like so. Then we are going to make sure her body is straight, and this little peg on her spinal piece is going to plug into her booty like so. And then before we move any further, we do want to take the gun pieces, and again with that same tab, you can sort of see there are these big slots right here in her leg, right there, and you can plug these in. I said you can plug these in. Come on, there we go. There we go. There. And now you have your vehicle storage for the guns. It would have been cool if they could have just stayed on the arms, but there is not as much space for that part, so I do understand. And I do believe we want to make sure that the arms are rotated so that the spikes are facing up. And we're going to bring these armatures down like so and just sort of wiggle these in beside her head like so. Then we want to rotate these shoulder pieces down, and they are gonna sort of come over as we lift this whole piece up and back to bring it down and form the other sides, or the rest of the vehicle like so. And they do tab in. There is a little tab right here under the door that'll go into that little piece on her leg like so. And now for this part, it does get a little bit finicky, but you want to bring this whole thing down and close it to form the top of the car, as you see. But a lot of the times these little bits of the door like to go under the hood instead of out to the side like they're supposed to. So you might want to take it a little bit slow, and do be mindful of these pieces on the legs. They do also like to get caught on this part. So there is some finickiness to this. It's not super bad, but just be aware that going in, you are going to have to pay attention to this. And we just want to make sure that we pull those out to the side. Once we get that past, we just kind of come here to the hood, and you want to make sure to smush it all in so that it closes all the way down properly. And we just make sure everything's all good and squeezed together. Then for the final step, we come back here and bring these pieces down to properly form the rear of the vehicle. And yeah, now we have her in her vehicle mode, and it is a very nice looking car. Obviously with these licensed vehicles, they do have to prioritize the vehicle mode, but again, it does look very nice, again with that very lush orange. We got plenty of silver here on the wheels, on the back, and for the headlights. We do get some nice dark gray for the vent, the air intake, these little swoops around the doors and the back there. And we do actually have McLaren written here in tiny silver letters. It's not coming across very clear here because it's so small, but right there, it's right there. Just gonna have to take my word for it. And yeah, it does feel a little light. You know, deluxes have been kind of getting lighter, but once it's like this, mostly stays together pretty well. These little bits here don't close all the way like they should, just because of how everything's sort of stacked together, but they stay mostly closed, so it's not horrible. I mean, it is enough to notice though. As far as wheels, she rolls pretty well, and I do believe they are all pinned in. Yes, they are pinned in from the inside, so it looks better on the outside, which is nice. And we do need to do some size comparisons. And while it's not the correct Bumblebee, I do at least have a Bumblebee for this comparison with B127. You can see how they stack up together. And again, we'll bring in the car vehicle this time, just to see how they stack up. But yeah, overall, I wasn't super excited for this release, but I did still want to get it, and I'll say I'm pretty satisfied. Again, there are the little gaps in the car, and the transformation is a little finicky, and I do feel like the articulation is a little underwhelming. I do feel like they could have at least put the waist swivel in there. I do feel like that, at the very least, could have been there. But, you know, again, I'm not Hasbro, so I have no say in the matter. But overall, I do really like this figure, you know, and I'm glad that they were doing more concept art figures. You know, I was really happy with that Sunstreaker we got from the Bumblebee movie. This figure's pretty cool. Honestly, I'd say the weakest of the concept series ones we've gotten so far was actually that Triple Changer Megatron, just because his vehicle modes were so slapped together feeling. But again, that one had just an astounding robot mode. Like, that thing was like super posable. So even that one was still pretty solid for what it was. So yeah, I really do hope we keep getting more and more of these concept series figures. Hopefully someday we'll get like a Transit and get our first bus transformer. There's so many more things that I would love to see. I mean, there's the entire Reactivate cast at this point, since that's not coming out. But yeah, overall, cool figure. I do recommend. If I were to give her a rating, I think 7.5 feels fair. Again, there are a lot of compromises in the way the robot mode is sculpted, and I know there are plenty of people out there who are like, oh, we want our super accurate Studio Series figures back, and I definitely understand where they're coming from. But again, I prefer it when it works better as a toy rather than like a super accurate model. I want the toy, like that's what I'm after, is the toyness. So I feel like these newer figures, like the Q Wheeljack and her, I feel like they've been a little bit more fun to mess with than the previous Studio Series figures. But again, that's my opinion. And hopefully this will give you an idea of how you feel about this particular figure. But that's about all there is for this review. So this is Soul Prime 13 saying transform and soul out.